All right, guys, back at the Clack Shack today, and I kept seeing a lot of people posting about on the XTool D1 that the little knob for the to adjust the laser to adjust your focus, the little thumb screw that they put on there. I've seen a lot of people complaining about not being able to get your fingers in there or this, that, and the other, and I've never really had too much trouble with it, but I mean, I agree that's not exactly the best design for the way that knob works. So I got to thinking and decided that, being my mind, the way it works sometimes is I try to figure out how to make a tool to fix things. And y'all can overlook the way I look today. It's been a long day of cutting grass and working on cars and working on lawnmowers. I broke the lawnmower today, had to fix it. I had to do some welding. But anyway, so I decided that I was going to make a little tool. And I started out with a couple of different prototypes. These are my little prototypes that I came out with. And each one I kept finding that there were little things about it that I didn't like. It didn't do what I wanted it to. One thing that I didn't want to do, especially if I was going to share this with other people, is make something that if you push too hard on that lever, that little tiny screw, that's actually a pretty good size head for that little tiny screw, and being that, background in mechanic work and stuff, I know that there would be somebody out there that would put that little handle on there, they would crank it down really tight, and when they did, they would break that screw off inside the holder. And that would be an undertaking for somebody that doesn't have the tools and equipment, drills and ease outs and stuff like that I have. So I didn't want to make anything and release it to the public that you could accidentally damage your machine with. So what I've done is I've created, basically it's a wrench, but because the thing is round, it does have those little knurlings on it that helps you grip it. Basically I have designed a tiny pliers, basically. And it's not a pliers in the sense that, when you squeeze it, it grips. It's a pliers in the sense that this material gives just enough when you press it upon that screw head that it takes enough pressure to press it on to where once it gets on there, it has adequate friction so that the handle can operate without moving. Now, if you really crank down on it to the point to where you're about to break that screw, this is going to pop off. It's going to pull off. It could very well break the corners off of one of these little pieces here. But that's good, because I would rather, if it were me, break this little 2-inch piece of acrylic than to break that screw off in there and then have to go and try to get that guy out, especially if you're not mechanically inclined and don't have the tools to do it with. So this is the design I come out with. Is this going to be the perfect handle for this thing? Maybe not. I don't know. I've went through several variations today. And just to show, I mean, I've chewed up quite a bit of acrylic trying to work the bugs out of this handle. The first one I made was entirely too long. And so then I tried to measure it to where the handle at no point would protrude beyond the laser for the X tool so that it wouldn't hit the rail up here. A couple of my versions work really well, but if you crunk them down too far, the bottom side of it would run into the front of the frame here, and it would rub. I mean, it still worked, but it was rubbing. I didn't like that. So, like I said, after several modifications and several tweaks, I have finally come up with a design that I think is highly doable. Now, I will say this. Putting this on is not for the faint of heart. I've got pretty good grip strength and some pretty strong thumbs from doing mechanic work all my life. And it's challenging. I've done it multiple times tonight, and the tips of my thumbs are a little sore from doing it. So it is not going to go on there easy. You're going to have to press this thing into place, but the whole way that it holds itself on there is because that little bit of stretch in that plastic applies constant force to keep it from twisting. So I'm going to try, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this, but I'm going to try to get the GoPro over in the laser so that you can see how this thing goes on. I've already got one of them on. One thing that I did learn is this is, I think this is 3.5 millimeter acrylic that I used. And I did realize that little knob is actually, this is 2.9 2.8 millimeters. So I guess it would probably be called 3mm acrylic. But anyway, I did figure out that that knob is actually wide enough to accept 2 of these. And that makes it a lot more stable. It gives it a lot more surface area to grip, thus more friction, so it holds on there a little better. And it keeps it from wobbling as much, because like I said, the only thing that holds this on there is the pressure that is exerted on these 2 little tiny pieces of plastic right here. So I'm gonna move the camera over and try to show you how I get this thing on there and how I get it set up, and we'll go from there. Okay, I am not sure how well you can see that, but I'm going to take my little pliers here and kind of show. Let me see if I can get a light in there. I don't know how well that's showing up because I can't see my preview screen, but that's kind of the way this thing works. And if you can see, it's a very snug fit with the knob. It's got basically a jaw that comes around that way and a jaw that comes around this way. And those are the part that acts kind of like pliers and grips that thing. And that actually allows you, let me get my little light set up here. That actually allows you to be able to flip this up and then slide the laser. And then when you flip that down, it locks it back in position. Now, if you push too far and you try to put too much pressure, eventually that little shoulder there is going to hit the laser, but it'll pop off. If you push down, it's going to pop off of there before it hurts anything. Now, if you get it too low, like I said, it will rub your rail. You can see a little mark right there where some of my prototypes were hitting it, and that shoulder was a little bigger than what it is now, and I had to adjust that shoulder. But that's how that works. And like I said, I've only got one of them on there. The partner to that one is here. And the way that I put them on when I first started is basically you take and you tighten that thing up to where you get it to where it basically doesn't move. When you get it to where it doesn't move, then just kind of keep the screw where it is. You know, like right there, it doesn't move. Okay, here it moves. So what I did was I try to get it to where the screw is just touching. You can tell that the screw is just touching about right there. And then all you got to do is you take these guys and just put it over the top of the screw and just kind of mash in on it real hard. Now, like I said, this takes a little thumb strength because it's having to stretch this acrylic. And then once you get it on there, it'll kind of line up and it'll go in. Now, one thing that I did find is I can actually use these little pliers here that I have to kind of squeeze those 2 together and make sure I don't have a gap between them. And just press that in. Like I said, you want to be careful not to turn that real hard because it will, you could possibly break it. But that's 2 of them on there now, and if you hold this up, it lets it move freely. And then when you pull that down, basically that locks it. And so that is what I came up with, guys. And it's all it is two little pieces of acrylic that I have built a file that sticks on there, and there's nothing holding them. There's no glue. I mean, I guess if you wanted to glue them, you could. I really don't recommend it because part of the reason that I designed it the way I did is because you do have that you have that breakaway feature. If you were to push this too hard or accidentally hit this too hard, that you want this to pop off before that screw breaks off. So that's the design. That's what I came up with. It works. It's not rocket science. I did manage by strategically engineering it. You can actually tighten this thing down pretty tight right there, and that's not gonna move. All right, guys, one more final demonstration here. I don't know how well the other video turned out, so I've got the laser over here, the camera over here where I can see it a little better. Got my little handy flashlight there. When you get ready to focus, the thing that I like about this design, and like I said, I hadn't really had any problems until people started mentioning it, and I'm like, hey, this is a problem. This is a little bit of an engineering challenge for me, and so I decided to make it. But for those of you who know how to focus your laser, you flip the little can opener, beer opener over there, which if you've ever looked at that thing, I think you could pop a beer with that. I mean, just saying, it does look like you could open a beer or root beer or, whatever. But you drop that down, and with this, with these handles attached, all you got to do is flip the handle up and drop the laser down, flip the handle down, throw the foot up, and you're set. Flip the handle up, laser will fall, flip it back, handle down, laser doesn't move. Like I said, the first couple of prototypes, I had a little problem with some rubbing going on back here. So I kept basically trying to shorten these jaws to the point to where I had just enough jaw to do the job, but not enough to interfere with the mobility of the laser. Like I said, it's another tool for the XTool D1 that you can get. And for those of you that didn't already know it existed, also you can go by and check out my Etsy shop and pick up yourself a universal jig adapter kit for your XTool. I've got a video on that thing if you want to watch that and see what it's all about. It is very handy. It comes in handy daily. I use mine frequently with anything from tumblers to business cards to pens. Did an Apple pencil. You can do pencils. You can build jigs for pretty much anything. So check that out. And like I said, if you want to run over to my Etsy shop and pick this guy up, this is a very small burn. I did burn up probably $10 worth of acrylic trying to get it designed. That is how it works, guys. And like I said, I make no guarantees to the size of the knob here has been changed. I don't know if XTool has changed the size of that thing or not. That would be my only concern. You know, somebody else may have to tell you if XTool has changed the size of this little thumb screw or not, but it works for this one. So there you have it, guys. All right, guys, like I said, I appreciate taking your time to watch the video. I hope it was interesting, annoying, or entertaining. Either way, if you don't mind, would you please hit the like, subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel up to where I can get past that 1,000 mark. I had a buddy that's kind of challenged me to have that done by the end of May, and so we'll see if I can do that. Again, I apologize for being quite this nasty. I'm a little nastier than usual, but mechanic work today, battling a buddy out that broke down, got me a little dirty. Appreciate you coming, and thanks for joining me. See ya.